Hey guys, how about that week one? I was just reviewing my notes. Can never have too many tips and tricks when it comes to costuming. A big thank you to Calvin Brooks for sharing his. We'll move right along. It's week two. And for week two, I wanted to talk about something that's a huge topic here in our world, and that's pageantry. You can do all kinds of pageants. A national pageant, local bar pageant, or even an online pageant. Sorry, couldn't resist. But either way, there's always going to be some simple tips and tricks for that as well. So what I wanted to do was bring someone on that has a unique perspective, who's not only done pretty much every genre of pageant, but maybe online, but also seen what it's like to lose and win. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring on someone who's very special to my heart. He's my drag dad, and he's currently a judge on season 2 of King Me, Rise of a Drag King, which is airing now. Sorry, couldn't resist. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, to teach you Pageant 101, I give you D-luv, Saviyon.
Oh, hello. My name's D-luv Saviyon, and welcome to what we call Pageantry 101. I've been asked to speak a little bit on different things that may be steps that help you out, and maybe just give you some general ideas in regard to pageantry. If it, one, may be right for you, and two, just some things that will help you along the way. Also, some do's and don'ts in regard to pageantry. First things first, pick a pageant. Decide what type of level pageants are what you'll be interested in. If you are initially interested in pageants, then you want to find out the different levels. There are levels to pageants. So you have general bar pageants, you have community pageants such as the pride pageants, you also have national level pageants. So you definitely want to do your research and find out what pageants work best for what you are looking for. None of these other things will be in any particular order, just other things that in regard to my experience and my experience in talking to other kings regarding different things that are important regarding pageantry. While there are a lot of different pageantry systems that you can compete in, like I mentioned, do also know the different pageantry systems do have different categories. So some may have categories such as the general, of course, talent, evening wear, or also sometimes known as formal wear. You also will have generally a presentation. Presentation can be judged or non-judged depending on the pageant. You also, in some pageants, do have different categories that may not be in some, such as creative evening wear, question and answer. Some pageants do not contain an interview, and also sportswear. Keep in mind that some pageants that have sportswear can be a couple of different areas. One could be runway looks, top models on the runway that you may see, high fashion. Others may also sometimes include sports category for sportswear. So that leads to my next thing that's very, very beneficial in pageantry, and that's doing your research. Do make sure that you do, not only in doing your research for the categories, don't forget to study the history of the pageantry system regarding formers, how the pageantry system may have been started, other divisions of the pageantry system, and then also current ratings. There are also other things that are very, very important in regard to pageants. One of those being professional at all times, not only when you are in the venues competing. Of course, we can't all win, so of course if you may not be crowned on that night, etiquette on how to control yourself. Also, remember that your entourages, your crews, your dancers, your dressers, and even your supporters can also sometimes shed a negative light on you when competing in pageants. We can all be very, very passionate about those that we support and love and sponsor. But remember, especially, you can't always control those that come to support you in the crowd. But your entourage is a direct reflection of you when you are competing in pageants. So always remember to make sure that they are always briefed and understand the importance of their role in regard to the contest that you've invested your time and your money in. Another thing that's very, very important is to not limit yourself to the different types of pageants that you do. If you are very serious about doing pageants, then definitely try to branch out and be as flexible and do as many different pageants as you can if you have the wherewithal to do so. Don't push yourself beyond your limits. So if you know that something may be too much of a stretch for you, not to say that you can't do it, but be realistic enough to know that sometimes maybe right now may not be the best time, and maybe make plans for later. It's never too early to start preparing for a pageant. So whether that pageant be this year or whether that pageant be a couple of years from now, make the necessary steps and set your blueprint so you can definitely be successful. One of the things that's most important in pageantry, as far as one of the things that is a staple, proper preparation prevents poor performance. That is something that is lived by in pageantry systems, although it's not always followed. Always try to get yourself a clear and concise idea of initially where you want to go. Things may be altered along the way, and there may have to be a plan B, C, or D, but initially you have an initial blueprint of what you want to bring to the stage, and then that makes it a lot easier when you maybe have to revamp, and sometimes may have to go back to the drawing board in regard to certain situations. However, there are certain things that you've already got out of the way and already checked off of your list along the way. Another thing that's very, very important is investing in your brand. You are a brand. If you are competing for pageants, your brand is your name, the titles that you've represented, how well you've represented the titles, also how you handle yourself on and off stage and the relationships that you build. That brand can lead to bookings, that brand can lead to travel, that brand can lead to a lot of successful things in regard to pageantry. However, you don't want to make wrong impression. You can't always be perfect in regard to everyone, so don't try. Be yourself. However, you do want to make sure that you always try to be professional and always try to put yourself in the most positive light possible, realistically. There are situations that sometimes may cause conflict or misunderstanding, but do always try to be polite and professional and always keep open means of communication in regard to those situations. Also, in times of conflict, do remember that social media is now the outlet to air out any grievances regarding any potential promoters, other contestants, or anything of that nature in regard to your pageantry reign or competing. We all can't win, and yes, we sometimes may be feeling a certain kind of way after a pageant, but realistically, after you give yourself some time, clear your head, and lay back down and look at those score sheets, most of the time there were things that maybe we just didn't want to accept that were flaws, or things that we may not have seen or our supporters may not have seen that we could make better for next time. So if it's something that's truly in your heart, don't give up. Try again. Also, don't push yourself to unrealistic expectations. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. You can constantly make improvements on your weaknesses, and you want to try to maintain and keep your strengths strong. However, don't push yourself when you know it's unrealistic. Not only is it not healthy, but it also puts you in much more stress on the personal life. There is a personal and pageant life balance, and it's a very thin line between losing yourself in regard to that. You always want to try to stay true to yourself. And if you get very, very involved in pageants, there is a fine line that you will have to balance and sometimes even step away from to keep yourself from teetering one way or the other. There's another thing that I really want to talk about that's very, very important in pageants, and that is winning a pageant in your reign One is how much you work to promote your reign and to make yourself visible. A successful reign, in most cases, of course, you want a lot of contestants, but a successful reign does not necessarily guarantee contestants. A successful reign is being visible. A successful reign is making sure that you stay in touch with your contestants. A successful reign is promoting your system in not only a positive light, but everywhere you can possibly promote within your free time outside of your personal life. It also sometimes means sacrificing some of your personal life outside of your work requirements. Sometimes if you definitely want to make your place known in regard to your reign and also get the word out to as many contestants as possible, there will need to be some sacrifice. Understand that trophy looks very, very good. However, the reality of it is that you do have to sacrifice. There will be a lot of time that you have to take. There will be a lot of travel. You will have to invest in your brand, and your brand is essentially you. Promoters cannot do everything. National promoters cannot do everything, nor is it their responsibility. Understand that when you compete to win a title, you are applying for essentially a job. That job you have for 365 days of the year. And it's important for you to show up to that job and to do your 110% just like any other job that you were clocking into on a 9 to 5 that pays your bills, your mortgage, your car note, insurance, or anything else. Sometimes it's important to know that don't set your expectations too high. Understand that what's in that contract is initially all that is promised to you. Promoters a lot of times will be very, very generous above that. However, remember that they are not required to. So as long as your promoter meets the guidelines or the requirements of what is stated in that contract, you are not promised or owed anything above that. The reality of that can make a big difference regarding a happy and an unhappy reign. Understand that you signed up on that line, and so you said for 365 days, I promise to be the best title holder that I can possibly be, and promote and put your system in a positive light, and try to encourage the further continuation of your pageantry system in the future. So that is a very, very important key to remember. Hopefully some of these things have benefited you along the way. I am not an expert on the issue, but I do definitely have a lot of experience in regard to it, as well as had a lot of knowledge instilled in me over the years in regard to pageantry. It is something that I dearly love, and I'm definitely happy to share what I've shared with you today. Again, my name is D-luv Saviyon, and thank you for joining me for Pageant 101.